So in our last class we talked about elements. We say that element is what describe what a link is, what an image is, what a header text is, a larger text, or what a paragraph is. So now I want to talk about something else. We want to talk about the attributes. Now what the attribute does is that the attribute add additional information about an element. The attribute also help an element perform a particular task. Attributes are mostly specified at the start tag of your element, as always at the starting tag of your element. So now we have the series of attributes that we are going to talk about today. So one of them is the href attribute. The href attribute helps the link redirect a page to another page. So this it helps the anchor tag, the anchor element. So the anchor element is written like this: the anchor element. So here you're going to put the description of the link, your description of your link. So here I'm going to write link to the next page. You can still put your own description and it will still work. So it's not a must. You have to put what I wrote here. So like I said, the attributes are mostly specified and the starting tag. So this is our starting tag, if you can remember. So this is our starting tag. Here I'm going to write href, put my equals to, then the double quote. So in between here is where I now write the link where this page will be redirected to. So or where this page will be directed to, not redirected to, will be directed to. So so right now I need to go and create that page. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to create a new file. So I'm going to call that file about .html. Also remember that whatever you want to, you can write whatever you want here, but from the .html is always constant. So I'm going to click here to save. So inside of my about.html, let me minimize this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with I'm just going to use a shortcut to bring in my HTML format. So I'm going to write HTML. You see this HTML5, I'm going to click on it. It's going to bring us the standard format for writing your HTML. So also remember, this is your head and this is the body. So in between here now I'm going to start writing. So I'm going to write a little description. So I'm going to say, I'm going to use the H1 to write that description. I'm going to say, welcome to the second page. So when we create that link, we want it to direct us to this particular page. So I'm just going to click here, go back to my first page, which is the index.html. So I'm going to come back to this my href. Now what you need to just do is add this second page here. So I'm going to write that second page. I'm going to call it about.html So come here to my browser and reload. So here is the link. So when I click on this link, it's just going to take me to the second page. So this is a welcome to the second page. So if I click here, it's going to take me back. So Now we also have other attributes. One of the attributes we have is a title attribute. And the title attribute add additional information about a particular element. So you want to add additional information about a particular element, we use the title attribute. So here I'm going to write title. So I'm just going to click here, title. So title, and I'm going to write the information that I want to add, the additional information. So I'm going to say additional, or let me say added information, added information. So now when I reload, so and hover on this, you see that additional information popping out there, added information. So again, we have another attribute we're going to talk about. So in order to write that, we will use that attribute in the img attribute. The img element is actually used to add image to your browser. So to your web page. So the img attribute is used to add image to your web page. So here I'm going to write img. So I already have an image here, so I'm going to go and add one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my file manager and locate this my folder and copy an image into it. So I'm just going to go to my file manager. So this is my folder, and so I'm going to copy picture. So I'm just going to copy series of image. So I'm going to copy, and I'm going to go locate my folder. I'm going to paste it there. So this image is very, very long, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename them. So I'm going to each rename them. So rename, I'm going to call this one 1, so it will be very, very simple. And I'm going to call this one 2. When I go back to my browser, you find that automatically these images have already been added here. So I'm going to minimize, bring back my Chrome browser. So here I'm going to give space, and I'm going to write SRC. The SRC stands for source. So the SRC attribute is used to call the image you are trying to put in your browser. So I'm going to call the name of the image. You know, those images we previously called them 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to call it 1.jpg with the extension. Make sure it comes with the extension. So I'm going to refresh. So you see how that image comes in very, very, very huge. So look at my image, very, very, very big. So I'm going to, so this will lead us to call another attribute the height and width attribute. So the height and width attribute is used to minimize your image. So this height and width attribute can be measured in units. So you can measure them in cm or you measure them in px. There are many other units, but I think for now, as you're learning, you should start with px, cm, until you go forward. You can choose other unit that you want to use, but the easiest one to use for beginners now is the px. So I'm going to give this 400 px. So I'm going to give it for the width, I'm going to give it width. Also, I'm going to give it 400 px too. So you can give it any number of your own choice. So when I refresh, this is it. So another attribute we're going to talk that the image accepts is the ALT attribute, which stands for alternative text. So this ALT attribute is used to add alternative text in case this image does not display. So I'm going to add it here. I'm going to say ALT. You look at it here, ALT. So now this ALT could be just a description of what this image is. I'm just going to say God of War is the name of the image. So I'm going to write God of War. So now for this God of War to display, you will have to there have to be bad network or something else that will make the image not to display. So I'm going to create an error so this image will not display. So I'm going to come here, take away the J. So that is an incorrect format. So when I refresh, so you see that the image does not display, but the alternative text is there displaying. So another attribute we're going to talk about is the style attribute. So the style attribute is used to add CSS styling to your page, that is coloring and so much more. So we use this. Just like the other attribute, we specify the style attribute as always as the starting tag. So but I'm going to add it to the body of the page to add color to the page. So I'm going to say style. So this is the style attribute. So unlike the other attributes, the style attribute accepts what we call properties and value inside of it. It does not accept value like the other attributes. So here I'm going to apply a particular property to this style, that is the background color. So the job of the background color is to change the color of the background of a particular element. So I want to change the color of the body. So I'm going to say background color hyphen color. So this is a property. Then I'm going to give it a color of blue. Actually, I don't like blue, but I'll just give it a color of blue. So blue. So when I refresh, you see that the background of the color changes to blue. So now the property is being, you see I have the property background color. You find the background color has two names. So whenever you have a property that comes with two names, you separate it with hyphen. We don't separate it underscore, we only separate it with hyphen. So we separate between a property and a value, we separate it with a column. So if I want to add another, the style attribute give you the privilege of adding other properties and value. So I can add another property and value. So for me to be able to add other properties and value, so I will have to separate this with a semicolon. So now another property and value I want to add there is the color. I want to change the color of the text. So change the color of the text, we use just color. Just color, not background, not text color, just color. So that is to change the color of the text. I'm going to say color. So I'm going to give it white. So white. So this is it, white. So when I refresh, the color of the page changes to white. So I can still add, there are many more properties and value we can add to a particular page, but all we want to do, we're not dealing with the properties and value, we are dealing with the style attribute. So just understand that the style attribute gives you that provision for you to be able to apply styles to your page, to your HTML page. So when we get to the next class, we're going to talk about